That tradition of building an arch for me symbolizes a lot of what this service is about today. It's about how we show up to one another and offer our care. And I was talking to a friend about my preparations for this service this week, about how important it is to dedicate sacred time to the complicated feelings of the holiday season, noticing that even as we stretch our hearts to welcome hope, that glimmer of warmth at the very edge of winter, just beyond the cold, dry seasons of our lives, seasons fed often only by a deep, sour well of grief. As I was sharing the theology of this service, connecting the dots between grief, community, and the love that knows no bounds, my friend paused. He paused the conversation and asked, "Jamie, why is this service so important to you?" The question landed like a hurt bird between us. I shared with my friend the complicated grief that shows up in my own life during the holiday season, how over the years I've learned to hold the balance of sadness and joy as heartbreak and struggle arrive. Each December has been slightly different. Some years the weight has been heavy, almost unbearable. Other years, the twinkle lights shine so bright, I can hardly notice the river of grief moving through my life. While serving as a hospital chaplain during the COVID-19 pandemic, grief and loss carved new valleys into my heart. It seemed as though the world was drowning in sadness, fear, loss, and anger. Each shift at the hospital was met with desperate pleas for miracles, prayers longing for peace and forgiveness, and so many love stories. Bedside love stories of friends, family, and community, love stories of gratitude and resilience, heartbreak, and yes, even hope. At the hospital, I witnessed grief and loss arrive and join up with past pains and change people over and over again, breaking people in old and new places. Suffering, I learned, has the possibility of opening us up towards more joy, more abundant love, and deeper connection rooted in mutual care. I even learned to believe in miracles during that time, especially the miracles of wild grace and community care, rejoicing in the love and kindness that arrives when we least expect it. I'm reminded, and the song showed up in my playlist over and over again during the season of my ministry. The song was "Everything is Holy Now" by Peter Mayer. I learned that everything is holy now. Our brokenness, our pain, and our heartbreak is also holy. And this is why it's so important to honor the complexity of this season together, to make room for the holy messiness of life and offer our caring presence to one another, knowing that we are each holding the balance of joy and sorrow. Religious educator C.B. Beale reminds us that building communities of care and mutual support is justice-seeking work. It acknowledges that we experience life differently and that to care for one another is to bear witness to suffering and to make a commitment to changing the conditions of oppression and inequity. Showing up together to the world as it is by resisting the impulse, and I hold it, and I know many of us do, to do it alone. Together we can embrace a love ethic that transforms our hearts, our communities, and yes, I believe even the world. This, for me, is the heart of shared ministry, to attend to the heartbeat of who we are and co-create the beloved community. Here at the fellowship, we have an outstanding caring team, volunteers and members of the congregation who offer their care and wisdom to help people when they're ill or otherwise in need of help. They can pay a visit, connect you to community resources, provide a ride, or, yes, bring a casserole to remind you that you are part of a larger community and never alone. Finally, as I invite us into this service of reflection and bearing witness to the hurts, longings, griefs, joys among us, I offer these words Bruce Marshall, who reflects on the holiday season. He writes, "I wish for you a season in which there are room for the complexities that occur during this time, a season of complicated memories, of happiness and pain, of comfort and loss, of disappointment and fulfillment, a season of joy which also has room for sadness, because gladness and sorrow take place together."
Earlier this week, I received a letter from a friend, a very dear friend. I'm sure many of you know folks who, maybe even yourself, may be suffering, struggling financially, struggling emotionally, with stress, grieving the loss of a loved one, grieving a divorce, or the loss of a crucial job. Still others might be challenged with health issues, illnesses, injuries, limiting their abilities physically or mentally. Life disruptions happen, and myriad challenges can occur anytime. Even when it's supposed to be a cheerful and happy season, we may still experience anxiety, stress, sadness, or grief. How we choose to meet those challenges and how we are present to others who are experiencing these challenges really matters. And it can make a world of difference. A dear friend sent me this letter earlier this week. She shared her recent experience of holding an attitude of gratitude and graciousness, even in the most challenging time for her. The story occurred while her husband of 60-plus years was in the hospital just prior to his passing. I've changed their names and edited a bit to protect their privacy, but please enjoy Eleanor's Thanksgiving letter. Our interactions with the staff during Clarence's 16 days in the hospital prior to his death vividly revealed the incredibly positive effect that gratitude can have on others. According to whatever strength he happened to have at the time, Clarence would always say, even whisper or mouth, "Thank you," whenever he received care. They could be doing something as little as adjusting his pillow, or more involved actions such as changing his IV or trying to draw blood. And it was very difficult to draw blood from Clarence. One sweet nurse in the emergency room had to poke him multiple times to find his vein. When she finally accomplished the blood draw, Clarence typically said, "Thank you." She looked at him in disbelief. "I just poked you with a needle multiple times and you're telling me thank you?" He just smiled at her. She looked at me in disbelief. Knowing my husband well, I told the nurse that he was well aware of how she had chosen a career of service, that it required commitment and resolve to get the education that she needed, and how the hours in the hospital can be exhausting and require sacrifice. He just wanted to convey to her that he appreciated that fact, that she had learned how to accomplish the task and get it done. As I continued to observe Clarence's interactions with his caregivers, I started engaging with them as well. It only took a question or two to get the conversation going, and I would take notes to try to remember their names, as well as the personal things that they had told us about themselves and their families. And I would always address them by name whenever I saw them. During those 16 days, Clarence received care from literally dozens of people: nurses, doctors, technicians, specialists, social workers, admin staff, and even custodians. We managed to connect with every one of them. One day, our social worker came into our room. She sat down on the couch beside me, and she proceeded to say, "This floor is very full. Every room has a patient in it, and we're very busy. We just had a floor meeting, and we were talking about all that. But do you know what the biggest topic of conversation was? You. Everyone on this floor has fallen in love with you. The entire staff is energized because of your encouragement and gratitude." Clarence led the way. I was thankful for picking him as my husband and followed his good example. It illustrated that God's brilliant light can shine through us, even in the darkest hours.
Let us be blessed this morning, remembering that blessing is the translation of the Greek word makarios, which means blessed, happy, fortunate. We are fortunate to rest our weary selves in this holy place and discover compassion, witness love, and care. As I share this blessing with you, I invite those gathered and those gathered online to, when prompted, offer these words. Fortunate are we indeed. Let's practice. Fortunate are we indeed. Fortunate are those who serve one another in love, who care for each other and are generous with gifts of kindness, understanding, empathy, and presence. Fortunate are we indeed. Fortunate are those who receive the gifts of care and welcome companionship offered freely by the community. Gifts of rest, comfort, friendship, and peace. Fortunate are we indeed. May we bless the world with a love that knows no bounds,